There. Okay, we've started the recording, and welcome to the friendly Los Angeles Westwood Village Rotary Club. And please mute yourself unless you're actually speaking or want to ask a question or make a comment. And we are celebrating 92 years of happy being a Rotarian. And our Pledge of Allegiance today will be led by John O'Keefe, Rotarian of the Month for 2021. So, okay. John?
I'm ready. Please
okay.
place your hand over your heart and repeat after me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and for the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, thank you, John. And our thought for the day, I saw Mike Newman sign on. Mike, would you like to take over on our thought for the day?
Sure. When I was first giving this some thought, I thought, hey, it's the start of spring and I'll find some springtime prayer or a poem. But of course, Ukraine's on all of our minds. And I was also looking at prayers for Ukraine. And I came across something that really intrigued me. So that's what I'm going to share with you. It's a patriotic Ukrainian hymn that was first sung by a children's choir. But what intrigued me was it was written in 1885. And when you hear the words, they definitely display that the Ukrainian people say, as we hear, that they are peaceful. And it's like 1885 is this prayer today. So like I said, it was prepared as a choir song. It was first performed by a children's choir in 1885. It became a regular hymn in services of the Ukrainian Catholic Church, the Ukrainian Orthodox Church, and all the churches across Ukraine. It gained national significance when it was performed by a mass choir during the Ukrainian War of Independence, 1917 to 1920. The hymn became the official spiritual anthem of Ukraine. It's performed after many council meetings and many national functions, maybe somewhat similar to our national anthem. I will not sing it, but the wording is so appropriate even today. Again, written in 1885. Loving God, we pray for the people of Ukraine, for all those suffering or afraid, that you will be close to them and protect them. We pray for world leaders, for compassion, strength, and wisdom to guide their choices. We pray for the world, that in this moment of crisis, we may reach out in solidarity to our brothers and sisters in need. May we walk in your ways so that peace and justice become a reality for the people of Ukraine and for all the world. In Jesus' holy name we pray, amen. Again, that's from 1885. Thank you for letting me share that.
Thank you, Mike. That was just really beautiful. If you can email those lyrics to Ron Leister, that would be great. He's writing our windmill today, so he has them. Thank you so much. And of course, we have our 4-way test. Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? And now I'd like to introduce our songmeister. I can't see everybody. I hope our songmeister is here. Are you here, Ed? Speak
yes,
up.
I am.
Okay, great. And as you can see, this is not a picture of Ed, but he's going to be singing Somewhere Over the Rainbow in honor of the Academy Awards this weekend, and also our speaker who, Somewhere Over the Rainbow actually in 1940 won Best Song, and also the score won Best Musical Score in the 1940 Academy Awards. Ed, take over.
Okay, as Marcia indicated, there are many songs that emanated from motion pictures, and this was one of the most famous. So I'm going to sing this, and it's Over the Rainbow. Somewhere over the rainbow, way up high, there's a land that I heard of once in a lullaby. Somewhere over the rainbow, skies are blue, and the dreams that you dare to dream really do come true. Someday I'll wish upon a star and wake up where the clouds are far behind me, where troubles melt like lemon drops away above the chimney tops. That's where you'll find me. Somewhere over the rainbow, birds fly. Birds fly over the rainbow. Why then, oh, why can't I? Thank you.
Thank you, Ed. That was very, very nice. And now, do we have any guests or visiting Rotarians, Rotaractors? Does anyone have a guest present today? Okay, how about visiting Rotarians?
Oh, no, Marcia,
Hello, who's
Marcia?
speaking? Yes.
it's Gail.
Hi, Gail.
Hi, we have a guest with us today, Mary and John Bronson. They're our neighbors in Incline Village, and they're going to be staying with us and going to the Academy Museum. So we thought they could get a little preview today.
Oh, wonderful. Well, thank you for joining us. I appreciate that. And Makiko, are you here today? I can't see. Hi, Gail. I see you now. Yeah. Well, Makiko, maybe she's going to come another time. But also, I just wanted to remind everybody, and Mark Rogo, you can speak up here, that next week is the trip on the tall sailing ship. So if you need to ask about it, please ask Mark Rogo. And if you're going, please contact Ruse Bay about your lunch orders. And my understanding is you can order it from either one of his restaurants, the Delphi Greek, or was it Rob and Mary's?
Mary and Rob's.
Mary and Rob's down the street. So Mark, did you have anything you wanted to add?
No, not really. I'm looking forward to it. Should be a lot of fun. Nancy here is gonna be joining us, and
Oh, great.
prospective new member Shirota will be joining us.
Mhm.
The district governor will be joining us.
Oh, Giddy? Oh, how wonderful.
Yeah.
Oh, great. All right. And so Mike Newman and I are sort of like-minded today, thinking about Ukraine. And in case you were wondering about Ukraine and Rotary, and if Rotary is doing anything, well, first of all, in Ukraine, Rotary is represented by 52 different Rotary clubs in different cities all over Ukraine, almost 1,000 members. There are 9 clubs in Kyiv alone. And during the last couple of years with COVID, I've been actually, talking with some of them. We've been going to the same meetings and all of that, especially, some of the Rotary clubs in Kyiv. And if you're wondering about what if you wanted to do anything, you can just go to rotary.org. And this is what the front page is. If you want to make a donation to Rotary International, and also District 5280 is helping the Ukraine. You can go to, I can put this in the chat later. You can go to this website or go to our website of 5280 and make donations there. You can see right down there, donate to Ukraine relief. And a third way, it's not that, it's through the, nope, let me skip this slide, lost the slide somewhere, is to go to the International Fellowship of Flying Rotarians. And Peter Moore told me about that. And they are actually flying things, I think, from outside of Paris to, equipment and medical supplies, and they are in contact with people in Ukraine. So they're getting, the right things that they need as far as medical supplies are concerned. And so you can make a donation to them also. And I'll put some of these in the chat after I get off of here. But as you know, the 94th Academy Awards are this Sunday, March 27th, and in Pacific time, they start at 5. And of course, the walk will start much earlier than that. But in honor of the Academy Awards, we have as our guest speaker today, Barbara Turman, and she's the director of gift planning at the Academy Museum of Motion Picture. And she will conduct a virtual tour for us. And so I'm going to sign off right now. I take my screen share down and let John O'Keefe come back again. Oh, there it is, okay. Let John O'Keefe come back again and introduce our guest speaker.
Thank you. Thank you all. As Marcia said, I'll be delighted to be introducing Barbara Turman, the Director of Gift Planning of the Academy Museum of Motion Pictures. She's going to conduct for us a behind-the-scenes virtual tour of the new Academy. I don't think many of us, or maybe has any of us been to the Academy yet. I have not been as yet, but I'm sure we'll be very stimulated to want to go after we have this tour. The building was formerly known as the May Company building. It was built in 1939. In addition to the building, there's a soaring spherical addition to the building that houses a 1,000-seat David Geffen Theater, which is designed by Pulitzer Prize winning architect Renzo Piano. The museum has just been open about 6 months now. It opened to the public on September 30th of 2021. Barbara, who will be conducting the tour and be our speaker today, attended Emerson College and is a graduate of Temple University's radio, TV, film program. She began her career in Los Angeles working for Castle Rock Entertainment at the corporate level. She has more than 20 years of experience also working in fundraising, and she did have some experience in fundraising at Cornell University in New York. So I'd like to have Barbara Turman take over. You will have to share a screen with her, I know.
I'm all set and ready to go, John. It's so lovely to be with you all today. I'm thrilled to be here. And I don't think I mentioned to John, but I was a Rotarian for a while when I lived in North Carolina. And so I really love and appreciate what you do as an organization and your club. So I'm going to go ahead and dive in and share the museum with you. Time is of the essence. I have lots to show you. So can you see my slide presentation?
Yes, we can.
Yes. Great. So great. So this is, as John mentioned, this is the new Museum of Motion Pictures in Los Angeles, the Academy Museum. It's comprised of 2 buildings. This is the former May Company department store. This view is on Fairfax at Wilshire. And this is the new Sphere building. As he mentioned, that Renzo Piano is our architect, and he loves a few specific things in his aesthetic of his buildings. One is that he plays around with light and shadow, which is why you see this glass wall here, because when you're in the galleries, you're going to be in the dark, and when you're in the wayfaring areas, you'll be in the light. He also loves to show how buildings work. So this is the emergency exit staircase, which I hope I never have to go down because I'm afraid of heights personally. And one thing I love to tell people about our buildings is that the department store obviously has been around since 1939. The Sphere actually levitates off the ground on 4 plinths. So there's all kinds of really amazing engineering that has gone on to make these buildings work well together in the case of an earthquake. And I'll talk a little bit more about that as we go through. This is now the Saban building. As you know, that cylinder has been there around for a long time. It's made up of 350,000 1-inch square glass tiles with gold leaf on them. We had to replace 2/3 of those tiles. You can see them working on that in the bottom right. And they were able to source the replacement tiles from the same family in Italy that made them in the 1930s. So very much attention to detail was made in making this building, renovating it, restoring it to its streamlined modern architecture. Also, the ones we remove will actually have been fabricated into jewelry and are for sale in the store if people want a part of that history with them. This layout of the building helps you understand sort of our spaces. One thing that's been challenging that we've opened during COVID times is that we can't do everything that we vision doing. So in the long run, we're really passionate about being available and open and accessible to the public. So the areas that will be free is underneath the Sphere, in the grand lobby, the store, restaurant, and the Spielberg Family Gallery. All of the wayfaring area, which Renzo Piano likes to call a vertical street, which I think is kind of charming, and on top of the Sphere. So all of those spaces in the long run will be places you can come and visit without actually having access or a membership or a ticket to the museum. That's not how it is currently, obviously, because we're timed and we're still sort of opening up more broadly. However, the ticketed or membership experience really begins on the 2nd and the 3rd floor. On the 4th floor, our temporary exhibition space. And then the 5th floor is our special event space. And that is actually closed to the public most of the time. It's the former May Company department store tea room. The lower lobby is where we have our education studio. It's named in honor of a gift because of a gift from Shirley Temple Black. It's named the Shirley Temple Education Studio. And the lower theater is the Ted Mann Theater. It's 288 seats. So we have 2 theaters. This theater did not exist when the department store was here. And you know, we're on the grounds of the Ray Tar Pits. So we had to have a paleontologist on site with us when we were digging that out. And they found a giant sloth during that process. What I didn't realize until this job is they only take what's necessary. So they took the sloth's arm and donated it to the Natural History Museum. And the rest of that sloth is actually behind this wall watching movies with you when you're in this theater. So something that not everyone knows, it's not visible, but now you know that there's a sloth watching films with you. This is, as I said, the Ted Mann Theater. It's our workhorse theater that has screenings almost every single day. There are 288 seats, and I'm a little bit wider in the hip. And so just so you know, when you come to visit this space, if you find that the seat's a little snug, try the one next to it because they are different sizes, which I have learned. So just make sure you're comfortable when you come to see something. This is the lower lobby where the education studio is. We are actually just replacing this or putting this away. This was one of the desks that Shirley Temple had when she was a child on a studio lot. We did a program last Sunday about that. So you need to keep an eye on our calendar for things that are happening. It's been exposed to the light too much. So we're, putting it away for safekeeping. I'm not sure if there'll be a new exhibit there when you visit, but know that that is a rotational thing. I'm really proud. Our education program is focused on kindergarten through 12th graders, helping young people to understand that their story is important and to give them the tools to tell their story through film, but also to see the myriad of career possibilities that they might consider. I also am thrilled to share that we have a gift that has allowed us, everyone 17 and under forever is free to come to our museum. So it's a big part of our ethos to make sure that young people have a chance to experience our spaces. This is our grand lobby. We've named it in honor of Sidney Poitier, and this is the Spielberg Family Gallery. In that gallery, there are more than 700 film clips of the history of film showing over 13 minutes. I think if you really want to experience them all, you stand back here and there's 3 screens facing you. So you can sort of see 3 screens at once and hear the clips. And then you might have to spend another 13 minutes facing the other way. I haven't fully sussed out how you see all 700 films, but it's fun. You can see the list of films on our website and people really delight in that space. As I said, that's going to be free and open to the public for people to experience, even if they don't come through the whole museum. On the second floor is where you enter our Stories of Cinema exhibition, which is our ticketed or membership experience. And when you first enter, you'll see there is this like a triptych of video clips that our colleagues, my curators, the curators have put together. It's really lovely, and it's nice to stand there for a few minutes and watch it. It's really connecting aspects of filmmaking through the generations of filmmaking. So sometimes, like here, the cameras are actually moving in relation to these actors. Sometimes it's framed in doorways. Sometimes it's about color tone or the use of mirrors. So it's fun to watch how they present that information, and it's reflective of the films that you'll see when you're in the museum. This is followed by a 6-vignette gallery that is going to change over in the year ahead. We had a press release that went out earlier this week that you might have heard about some of our transitions. This space will transition, but we've opened with these 6 vignettes about Citizen Kane, Bruce Lee, Thelma Schoonmaker, who was Martin Scorsese's editor, Emanuel Chivo Lubezki, the independent film Real Women Have Curves, and Oscar Michaud, who was a prolific African-American filmmaker in the early 1900s. That gallery is followed by 2 galleries that are related to the Oscars history. So this is we have 20 Oscars on display in this room. They begin with the first Oscar on the right is Sunrise, and they end with Moonlight on the far left. It's kind of fun to walk through there and see those. And it's followed by this beautiful gallery where they have notable speeches playing around you as you go through. We also have on our website the Academy Award history, so it's something you can explore. We have on this floor especially, we're focused on the arts and crafts people and the scientists and all of the people that make up film, all of the branches of the Academy. So we have a director's inspiration, and we've opened with Spike Lee. We just announced in the press this week, this will be followed by the director Agnes Varda, who's from France. So this will change over. This specifically is a Brooklyn stoop because Spike Lee, we're celebrating his films and his inspirations. And all of the things on the walls are going to change in the next month. So it will still be here into the fall, but if you have visited and want to see it again or interested, you can see that in the future. This is followed by a small gallery that talks about writing and story. And this is Alfred Hitchcock. This is the typewriter that Joe Stefano used to type Psycho on. I think that's staying, but some of these objects will change out. Right now on display, there is actually a handwritten script of Thelma and Louise, which we screened last Sunday. So it's kind of fun to check out what they have there in that gallery. And then we open into a deep dive into a single film and talk about all of the different arts and crafts that go in, the people behind the scenes that made these films. So we opened with The Wizard of Oz, which you can see here, and you celebrated that song at the start of your program. Next will be followed by The Godfather in the fall. So this will transition into another deep dive into that film. I included a couple of extra pictures for you. This is the close-up of one of the very few existing pairs of the ruby slippers. These were screen worn. These were the close-up pair. So whenever you saw them clicking the heels together, that's this pair. So they're not heavily used, and we're delighted to have them. You'll see on the walls, they get into casting and performance. Most people don't know there were 6 directors that worked on the film. So lots of stories and content that you get into. And one of the things I learned recently is they actually had a glamour look for the witch at the beginning, and then they evolved to a more scary witch over time through the casting process. So those are the types of things you can look at and learn. There are 2 dresses, one is gingham and one is sepia tone. And on display in the gallery, you'll see the video where she goes from her house in Kansas into Munchkin Land. And that's Dorothy's stand-in, the back of her, as she's going to the door in sepia tone. And then they have Judy Garland walk in color into Munchkin Land. So that's why there were dresses in different colors, and we show the scene on the wall for you to see. One really fun story that is not in the museum, but that I get to hear really great stories is most people don't know that the lion's tail had a handler that was in the rafters, carrying the tail around everywhere he went on set. And there was a day that he was a little hot. Maybe he was a little sick or a little hungover. He passed out and the tail fell to the floor. And that's the day that Burt Lahr, the actor, picked it up and dried his tears. So it's an iconic moment in the film that was an impromptu. I feel very blessed to get to hear stories like that. And I thought I'd share that with you. Followed by this, before actually I go into this gallery, there are 3 other galleries that are off the Wizard of Oz. I don't have pictures of them here. One is casting, where they show some casting videos, audition tapes, and some of the characters that were actually portrayed by the people that were in the casting video. There is a gallery that's a 30-minute presentation of image about location managers, production designers, cinematographers, and art directors talking about specific films, sort of like oral history notes on films and why they made the choices that they did. So if you need a break from the walking, it's a great place to sit and watch that. And there's also a gallery that has a tribute to sound, and they look at the opening scene of Raiders of the Lost Ark, and you see how it is when they first record it with the actors, all of the special effects they add, the Foley artists, all the way through to the orchestration, and then mixed together for the final cut. So it's kind of fun to see that. Those are all followed by this gallery, which is where you get into some of the wardrobe, hair, and makeup. Some of this will be changing out this spring. So if you want to see these specific things, you need to come soon. And oops, I took a picture out that I didn't mean to. Included in there, I had a close-up for you of Harold Lloyd's makeup kit from the early silent films, which is on display in this space. That, as you leave, that's followed also by a gallery that I don't have a photo of, that's a tribute to documentary films, specifically focusing on climate change, labor relations, Me Too, and Black Lives Matter. So that's the last part of that gallery on the 2nd floor. On the 2nd and 3rd floor, the Heard Gallery is actually a 2-story gallery that focuses on backdrops, the invisible art currently. And we have on display the backdrop from North by Northwest. So on the 2nd floor, you can actually go and have your picture taken in front of it. Some people have told me that they actually have posted that online and people are like, what, you're in South Dakota? So it does hold up, as from what I hear, but it's fun to see that in some of the production stills. And then upstairs on the 3rd floor, there's an overlook, and there's a really fun video there where you can learn how they map the faces of Mount Rushmore. It's worth staying to watch that. It maybe runs about 4 minutes or so. When you enter this 3rd floor, we opened with a commitment to one artist and their body of work, and we've opened with Pedro Almodovar. This is not a gallery for everyone, younger people. There's some alternative content in there. So people with younger patrons that are coming through are recommended to go through the back end, but you can see on display some of clips from his film. This will change out in the future as well to another artist celebration. As you get to the end of it, you get into our animation gallery, which is really lovely, where you can learn about the history of animation. That desk is actually one of the Disney animators' desk, Frank Thomas's desk. Pete Docter owns that, and it's on loan to us, as well as on the wall, right back here. Let's see if I can point to it. Pete Docter had written as a teenager to Frank Thomas about a book that he had written, and that's the letter Frank Thomas wrote back to him. So you get some of that sort of nice history when you're in this space. It's really wonderful. I also like to point out to people, this wooden sort of model of a deer was built specifically for the Disney animators for Bambi to learn how a deer would move and realistically understand how to draw a deer moving, which was used in the film. So I love that we have treasures like that. In between this gallery and the Encounters Gallery I'm about to show you is a tribute to the work of special effects that began, visual effects that began with the work of Ray Harryhausen, Willis O'Brien, and it gets into Avatar and some of the ways that effects now are a specific character, like Avatar, Jurassic Park, and Terminator 2. And then you come into the Encounters Gallery, which is close up with costumes, characters from beloved films that people have. Just wanted to include a couple pictures for you. And in this gallery, in the cylinder, behind that gold cylinder, they have a tribute that Ben Burtt made to the history of space in the movies that runs in sort of a long form, something for you to stop and watch. Outside of those galleries, which are our core exhibition, we have a gallery dedicated to the currently dedicated to the path to cinema. Richard Balzer is a gentleman who collected pre-cinematic objects from film from the mid 1600s to the early 1900s, and 9,000 objects came our way when we received his collection. So just a small piece of those are on display in this gallery. This is the entrance to that. Some people miss it, so I just wanted to make sure you knew what it looked like for when you visit. And they wanted it to be more interactive, but with COVID had limits, so there is a shadow puppet space where you can work with your hands and make shadow puppets with someone you're visiting with. This is inside that gallery. Off to the right of where this view is, which I know isn't helpful. Sometimes I've shown people a video. There are, I think it's 9 pictures that are pinhole paintings that have the effect when the light comes behind it of the cities and places turning into night. So make sure that you look for that. I think it's really special and beautiful to see. On the far wall, you can see these are some of the devices, the magic lanterns and the types of magic lanterns, etc. It's a really fun gallery to check out. Our largest object is Bruce the shark. There were 4 sharks made from the mold that were used in Jaws. 3 of them were rubber and used up in the filming. And this Bruce was made from the same mold. He's made of acrylic. He's 25 feet long and he weighs a ton. He lived at Universal for a long time. Some of you may have seen him there in your lifetime. And then he lived in a junkyard and he was in really, really rough shape when we received him. This is what Bruce looks like now. He's on the third to fourth floor escalators as you go up. You can see I took a photo with him trying to eat my head. There's actually a better photo you can take on the 4th floor. So if you want to know about that, let me know. I can tell you where to get that special effect. But he is restored in his glory and is on display, and a really wonderful object in our museum that causes delight. On the 4th floor, we have the works of Hayao Miyazaki. This is a temporary exhibition. It closes on June 5th. So if you know about him or you like what I share with you today, you need to come and see the museum before June 5th. It will not travel anywhere else in the States. Most of the objects will go back to Japan. So it's a limited time and it's a really delicious exhibition. I've brought a number of people through who are not into animation, don't like anime, don't know anything about Hayao Miyazaki, and it is a very beautiful gallery to see the artwork that's behind the animation, which is on full display. When you enter through a tunnel of green, similar to the way in his films, the characters often go into the forest. As you see, the girl is entering through a tunnel. When I'm with people in person, I encourage them to put their hands out and touch the fabric as you go in. I know most people think, oh, you can't touch anything in a museum, but this is one that brings out your inner child. In the central gallery, there's a focus on the earth and nature, and then how we hurt the earth or nature with industry. And often in Miyazaki's films, he has a female protagonist, but he also has characters that will stop and take a moment to take a breath, to sort of take in nature. So we have a hill in the center of that gallery. And if you're bold enough, I have gotten some people in their 80s to lay down there and take in the moment in the gallery. So don't be shy. It's not that hard to get back up. And I highly encourage people include that in their experience. And then we have this beautiful mother tree. So in Miyazaki's films, he really believes that the forest is a magical place. This tree is made of string and LED lights. I encourage people to touch it with their hands when they go under and sort of feel it. It's very visceral. But what I also love to point out to people is on this wall, I encourage you to step over there. You'll see there's a poem. He's the only animator that we know of that writes a poem to his animators about a character he wants them to create. Very thoughtful. And so on the wall, you'll see his poem written in Japanese and that translation of these characters, the Kodama tree spirits. And then further in the back wall, sort of, I'm going to point to it. Whoops. Right back in here, there's a poem about a deer god. And they actually have video from the film showing the deer god come to life. So I highly recommend that you check those out and read his words because they're very poignant. This will be followed in August. We'll open Regeneration about Black cinema from 1898 to 1971. Many of us don't realize there was a second parallel industry happening over the past century where they were films made with Black artists for Black theaters. And so That's only a piece of the story that we're telling, but we're really excited to be sharing this with everyone. We're partnered with the National Museum of African American History and Culture, and this will travel to other museums across the country. On the 5th floor, we honor women who had significant achievement in film, including Alice Guy Blanchet, who many people have not heard of. She worked for the Lumiere brothers, and she's believed to be the first person to have ever made a narrative film. She made more than 1,000 films in her lifetime, and she co-ran a studio with her husband in New Jersey when they were starting out with film there. And she was erased from history. There's a great documentary called Be Natural that I highly recommend that you check out. It's a well-done documentary and a great to learn about her. Hattie McDaniel, Miyoshi Umeki, Rita Moreno, Sophia Loren, Buffy St. Marie, all women who had significant moments in Oscars history. And then Barbara Streisand named the Upper Bridge and has her own moments, and they're recognized on that wall. I love this photo of the buildings at night taken from across the street. We're really proud that the Saban building, formerly the department store, has achieved LEED Gold certification, which is fairly challenging to do with a building that's almost 100 years old. Some of the ways we've achieved that are with the solar panels that you see on the roof. We're also taking advantage of the parking that already exists at LACMA, the Peterson Museum across the street. The metro will be coming in a year or two across the street with a stop. And also we've added Roddenberry Lane, named in honor of Gene Roddenberry, which is a drop-off lane for you if you were having ride share, for example, or taking Lyft or Uber. People ask, why is the sphere the shape that it is? Why did he make this huge building with a theater inside? Renzo believes, as many people do, that when you go to see a film, you travel to other places in time. He also was inspired by this photo of the corner of Wilshire and Fairfax. Back in the late 19-teens and early 1920s, Cecil B. DeMille and one of the Chaplin brothers had airfields there. And here in this photo, you can see they have a dirigible parked there. When you come to visit the sphere, underneath, you'll see there are these two tether-like devices. They have absolutely no significance to holding up the building. They're there as an homage that when you enter this space, you're going to travel to other places in time, which I think is really lovely, and most people don't know about that. This is the sphere. As I said, it levitates off the ground. So these are the 4 plinths that it's held upon with base isolators that are like giant springs that keep it stable. It has a 1,000-seat theater inside, and I'm going to show you a picture in just a moment, but we're able to show films in the way originally intended, including nitrate, which is why the projection booth is outside the back of the theater. Nitrate is very flammable, and we want to make sure that our building and all of our patrons and all of our people are safe. The projectionists can walk upstairs to the terrace above. I've had people ask if they have to parachute down, and they do not. It's not a thing that has to happen. Also, LACMA has buildings that are also created by Renzo Piano, and that's what you can see here on the left. This is the Resnick building and the Broad, and the outside air conditioning unit vents are all in red. And that's once again a tribute to his style of showing how buildings work. This is the bridge that goes across into the theater, red carpeted all the way. This bridge suspends from the bridge above it. And this is inside that theater. So if you haven't been yet, we have all kinds of programming going on. Just on Tuesday, we screened The Graduate, and Larry Turman spoke, who was the producer. Lovely space to see films, really engrossing Dolby Atmos sound, 1,000 seats. And on the stage, we have room for a 60-piece orchestra. This is the bridge that goes across at the 5th floor onto the top of the sphere. And this is a picture from on that sphere. We have a more than 188-degree view of the Hollywood Hills when you go to the edge. This is the Dolby Family Terrace. If you're coming with friends, I recommend you stop right here and turn around and get someone to take your photo with the arch of the sphere behind you, because it's a really effective stopping point for you to get that. You can currently take your masks off in this space as long as you put them back on when you go through to the museum. This terrace is an outdoor space, so underneath the floor they have pipes that can radiate heat or cool to keep it temperate for everyone. The dome of glass is made up of more than 1,400 individual glass panes in 149 different shapes, sizes, and curves. They also have a shading system that will open during the day to keep it from getting too hot in there. We also have a store We have film programs. We have a restaurant, Fanny's, named in honor of Fanny Bryce, and currently have the Oscars experience, where you can pay an extra ticket and accept an Academy Award in your own hands and get a video of you doing so. And I'm just going to end here and then wrap up and answer your questions. But obviously, if you were to come to the museum, I promote people thinking about membership only because if you were to come to the museum and read every placard and watch every video, it would take you about 2.5 days to go through. Membership begins at $100. It's pretty reasonable. $190 for you to come with a friend every time you visit, and that lasts for a year. So I'm just sharing that. And obviously, if you know people or are interested in talking with me about philanthropy, I did show you. Here's that video. Sorry, I was trying to get out of my slides. This is that video I said that it goes from day to night. And I had a few extras. I wanted to be mindful of your time. And so, sorry, I've clipped it, but I might as well show you while we've got it running. And then I'll stop sharing. But you can see they change from day to night with pinholes. It's really pretty special. So you'll have to check that out when you visit. And let me stop sharing my screen. I didn't mean to do that. But I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
Well, thank you so much. That was just really amazing. So if you have a question, can you take yourself off mute and wave at me or something? Let me see if I can see all of you. Oh, here, Michael Newman has a question, I see right off the bat.
When you just showed the room with where you showed The Godfather this week, as far as membership or coming to the museum, how do you, I guess there's sites and stuff where you can find out what movies are playing, but are those also separate pay, or how does that work?
So a member gets a discount on the screening tickets, and some are complimentary, like the Godfather was, I believe, this week. Or are only for members. But membership lets you have, I think you, instead of paying $10 for a film ticket, you pay $8. It's not a super high bar to get in. You can go to screenings and not be a member, so you don't have to be a member of the museum to come and enjoy a screening. As I said, you'd pay $10. Admission is $25. But if you plan to come more than once, $100 for your individual ability to come anytime you like and to take it in doses is pretty reasonable in the long run. And that helps us operate. So it is a part of, often a museum experience. But yeah, you can see those all on our website at academymuseum.org.
Thank you.
And Mark Rogo.
Do you still have the kaleidoscope thing on the top?
Yes, so outside of Miyazaki, we have a 3-dimensional zoetrope that was made by Pixar, but that will leave in June as well. So once again, if you want to see it, you need to come before June 5th, and it's probably going to get pretty packed as we get closer to June 5th. This is the only time Miyazaki's work has been shown outside of Japan in this way. So we have had a lot of visitors. One last thing I want to mention to Michael about the membership is right now, members have complimentary admission anytime you'd like to come. The weekends are often needing to be reserved in advance, but on the weekdays you can come and say, I'm a member, I'd like to go in. So it's not, it's more open than it used to be, especially as we figure out how to come out of COVID times into the new world. Yes, Mark?
Many years ago, my father-in-law and his brother, Walter and Marvin Mirish, were very involved with that Academy collection over at the Beverly Hills Waterworks.
Yep,
Is that where this all came from?
So a lot of our objects were all related to each other. So it's a sister organization, the Margaret Herrick Library. And I know the Mirishes. I actually know Bob because I do a program over at the Motion Picture Country Home on their in-house channel, and we do cinephiles together. I'll see him this afternoon, possibly. But yeah, a lot of people have given their working papers and collections to the library, and those are often some of the source materials for what we have in the museum. So it's all married together. There's also a building for the Academy on Vine Street where we have our film archive. So we're all one organization with sibling relationships, if that makes sense.
Well,
and
you didn't consolidate everything at the May Company, so you still have these other.
Oh, they still exist. They've been closed with COVID. They will reopen. Margaret Herrick Library is a functional library where many people go and do research for books or films that they're writing. So that will reopen in April, as well as the film archive. I'm not sure the extent of the programming they'll have in those other buildings. They have their own theaters. I think all of that is being sorted because we still have this shadow of COVID looming over us, and we're getting employees back full-time into those spaces now, just starting to, as this is abated. The museum has sort of been the focus where we're taking some of those risks because we opened in September. But you still do require seeing proof of vaccination or a negative COVID test and require people to wear masks currently inside the building. That may change over time, but we're trying to be keeping everyone safe. Does that help answer your question?
Yeah, I understand. Thank you. Say hello to Bob. Tell him his cousin Lynn says hello.
All right.
I have a question. I
Sure.
have 30 questions, but I'm just going to ask a couple. Okay. I know that Debbie Reynolds was trying to collect a lot of things. Did you get anything from her collection?
So she had spent a long time collecting amazing things, and we've actually named our conservation studio at the museum in honor of her.
Oh.
That we are partnered with her son. I know there was been some historic frustration, and if you want, I can share an article with you that talks about sort of the partnership we have with him and the honoring of her in that way in our downstairs area. It's not open to the public, but it is where we do our collections and restoration. And some of the objects that we have, we actually have to purchase in the same way that other people need to purchase them. So it's a mix of what we have. Some things are on loan, some things are on loan from our sibling organizations, some things are owned by us. So it's a widespread mix. Benjamin, you have a question?
Yes, I wanted to know how we can get a private tour from you.
So you would just need to get in touch with me. We don't really do private tours, but I'm happy to give you one. And it's fun to take people through. It's hard to take a group through because everyone has different paces and interests, but my address, I can make sure that Marcia has it. It was in that final slide, but it's B. Turman, so Barbara Turman, not related to Larry, but good friends with him, bturman@oscars.org.
So if we wanted to take our group, would you be able to take our group through a tour?
I could probably arrange it. You'd need to organize the group tour visit with a group salesperson at the museum, but I would need to be kept in the loop, and I would certainly be able to be there and be with you as long as we can make the schedules work out.
Okay, thank you.
Did you say oscars.org?
Oscars.org, bturman@oscars.org. John, you had a question?
Yes, Barbara, it was a great talk and great tour. Almost felt I was there. You said it costs $25 a person if you're not a member to come. Is that correct?
Yep. It's
And
less
how
if you're a
about-
senior. It's
Oh,
less if
that's
you're a
good.
senior. And then with the group tour people, you can arrange for a discounted price per ticket.
How about a child or a teenager or something like that?
17 and under is free forever, always.
Oh,
You still
that's
need to
terrific.
reserve a ticket, but they're free.
I see, yeah. And you said it would take about 2 or 3 days to see the whole museum. Is that correct?
If you watch every video and read every placard. So when you do a tour with me, if Benjamin and I work out figuring out a tour, I'll hop you through it pretty quickly. You know, I can maybe do a fairly rapid paced tour with a small group of people in about 2 hours. There's going to be stuff you're going to want to go back and look at more closely because I keep the group moving. You know, I let you explore a little, but I know there's a lot to see. The museum closes promptly at 6 most days. And I had 2 days in a row where I was on a tour with people and we were literally swept out of the gallery at the very end. I got to the end, but we were swept out
Good work.
by the security
Good work.
team. So,
Yeah.
so it's like that.
I had one more question. You had an exhibit or have an exhibit there now about this Pedro, I'm not sure his last name.
Almodovar.
Now, how did you happen to choose him? He's a little bit out of the way, isn't he, or what?
Well, I know that our colleagues chose him, so I don't know the full logic or decisions behind that. It's with our curatorial team and an advisory board from the Academy have been involved in those early decisions. I know that we're wanting to make sure that we tell the story of global filmmaking, and not just one story, but lots of stories. We've also set the exhibitions up so they'll change over. So if you see our press release or saw some of the stories this week about the rotation of exhibits, all of that is in the mind of continually evolving, telling lots of stories, telling stories that people know a lot about, telling stories that people have never heard of. And so I know he was selected because of his body of work. He is renowned in Spain, and we have partnerships around the world with other countries to try and help
I see.
show their films.
I see. Yeah. Thank you. It was a very good presentation. Thank you again.
You're welcome. And one quick thing before we go, I want to tell you one program. I usually show a slide, and I think I had forgotten to include it here. One of the programs that I really love that's happening this year that you should check out is on Tuesday nights. We have something called Branch Select. So the 17 branches of the Academy have selected 3 films each that represent excellence or evolution of their craft. And those are happening every Tuesday in the museum for 52 weeks. It started in January, from the oldest film to the newest film on Tuesday nights. And we often have someone speak about why the branch chose it. For example, we had the producers branch chose The Graduate, and Larry Turman was the producer and spoke at the start of the program. So it's a great one to check out. They've been very popular. And the restaurant is open with a special theater menu right before, so you can come have dinner and go see that at 7:30 on Tuesdays.
I have one more question. How about the Academy Awards? Is there any consideration of having that at the Academy?
So it will never be at our museum because we don't have enough seats. That's a 2,500 seat theater, but we are having a special event on Sunday. Our first ever Oscars live streaming event with cocktail party through in the lobby. So I'll let you know how that is after we have it. It's our first one. It was sold out very quickly. We're really excited about it. We don't know how many people will sit in the theater, how long they'll stay in the theater and watch it, because there'll be screens in the lobby and other places where you can watch the show. So it's going to be quite an experience. I will be very tired on Monday morning.
I have a quick question. Is it open 7 days a week?
We are open 7 days a week. We were open even on the Christmas holiday. So I think we were planning to be 365 days a year, sometimes with limited. I think they just showed some film programs and didn't open the galleries that day. But we're really passionate about that access and being available.
Okay. And also, do you have to get tickets online, or can you get them at the door?
You can, you should plan your trip ahead of time and get them online. If you're a museum member, you can walk in and get a ticket now on the weekdays at the welcome desk without having notified us ahead. But it's good to reserve your time. The weekends have been selling out. During the month of December, we were sold out pretty much every day for a long period of time. Some of that's because we've been on a reduced capacity and we're expanding that to a more open capacity because of COVID. But I do recommend you plan ahead and get those tickets. Our membership and our tickets are all virtual and digital. So you'll get an email that has the scan code. They can look up your name when you get there. But I just think it's good to be aware of that before you come, that you're not going to get a physical card like you used to receive at the library or other places, other museums. It's really all evolved into a digital footprint.
Thank you.
Yeah, check out our programs. There's so much. Sundays we have Oscar films. Thelma and Louise was last Sunday. I hadn't seen it on the big screen since back when it came out. So fun to see that in a large format with an audience. Last Saturday, we had Mary Poppins screening for younger people. It was really fun to see that in the smaller theater, and the kids were all running around the aisles, like my younger brother used to do when he saw the fireworks explode on chimney on the rooftop song. So I highly recommend that you come and see our programs. They're really lovely.
That's great.
And,
I wanted to ask about the Wizard of Oz, going back to the Wizard of Oz. You said that I can't imagine anybody but the Wicked Witch of the West being the Wicked Witch of the West, but you said that they were thinking of making her a glamorous individual. Who were they planning on casting?
So you'll see it on the wall. I can't remember the name of the actress, but they really wanted the Wizard of Oz to perform the same way that Snow White did. And obviously Snow White has a very beautiful princess. So you'll actually see Snow White reference in the gallery in multiple places, including their campaign book that they sent to theaters. It said something about Snow White there. So there was a lot of desire to be as successful as Snow White was. And so they started in that idea of a beautiful princess or a beautiful witch and evolved from that. And also you'll see on the walls Blanche Sewell was the editor. She is related to Walt Disney, and actually he kept consulting with her on Snow White as he was editing the film. So they hired her for The Wizard of Oz because they clearly felt that she was a respected person to play that role. And there's a huge picture of her on the wall.
Well, thank you. And Barbara, can you look at the chat? Do I have your email address there correctly?
Yes, you do.
Okay.
You don't require capital B, but that's fine if you have one, it
Okay.
won't hurt.
It just does it automatically. So bturman@oscars.org. And I just want to thank you so much. This has just been a fabulous presentation today, and very timely, and getting us all ready for the
Absolutely.
yeah.
And as I said, you've got to come before June if you want to see Miyazaki and the Zoetrope. So
Okay.
it puts a time
And
on it for you.
I just wanted to say that because of your presentation today, we've made a donation. We are the Westwood Village Rotary Club, and we have made a donation to the Westwood Library there on Glendon. And I just wanted to thank you a donation in your name.
Oh, that's lovely.
The
Thank you.
library, and wanted to thank you so much. And with that, I believe we will give you a round of applause. You can't hear
Oh,
it.
thank you.
Yes,
Thank you very much. It's lovely to share it with all of you.
And if anyone and remember, next week is Mark Rogo and the sailing trip. And remember to call Ruse Bay to order your lunch, and contact Mark if there are any other, maybe Barbara would like to go on it, Mark, on the trip. We can take her sailing to thank her for today.
I'll try and come to one of your in-person meetings sometime in the near
That'd be
future.
wonderful. We'll invite you. Thank you.
I'm recovering from this weekend. There's a lot ahead still. It's a lot.
Well, thank you. And if anyone has any other announcements or last minute things anybody wants to say?
Yes, I do,
Okay.
Marcia.
All right.
Just a reminder, of course, next week is the sailing ship, but the week after, we're back in person at the Luskin. If you're a pre-bill member and you're not coming, let me know. If you're not a pre-bill member and you want to come, let me know. So we don't.
Okay.
That's a very important meeting, because Benjamin Fisher is going to give us his life story.
Benjamin Fisher, next to the Luskin Center. You heard it here. Okay, well, thank you all so much, and especially you, Barbara. And thank you, John O'Keefe, for getting Barbara for today.
Good.
And if there are no further announcements, I guess we'll ding. Oh, wait, Phil Gabriel, do you have something you wanted to say? No, you don't. Okay. All right, then ding, we're done. We'll
Bye,
see
everyone.
we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye.